Hello and welcome to the Sit Down with Suzanne podcast. This is Suzanne, your host, and I am so excited to be here today. A couple weeks ago, I told you that I was going to have a very special guest on the show, and he's here with me today. So I'm going to have him introduce himself, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the show. So I'm going to do it a little differently today. I know typically I read emails from the fans, answering questions, and I might answer some questions at the end, but I'm just so excited about today, and I want to talk about, our topic. So I've mentioned on the podcast several times about mentorship and what it means to me, and I'm so excited to have with me today Gabe, who is going to talk about mentorship. So I'm going to have him introduce himself and where he's from and what he does. So Gabe, welcome to the Sit Down with Suzanne podcast.
Thank you so much. My name is Gabe Santner. I work at Quinsigamond Community College, and I run a mentoring program there called QCC Mentoring. So it's been almost 2 years so far, and I'm just very excited to keep expanding our program and tell the listeners a little bit about it.
All right, wonderful. Well, thank you so much. So I met Gabe, I think was it last year
Yeah.
or yeah, last year I'd gotten an email from him. So I'm a proud Wyvern QCC alumni. And I do a lot of things going back to the school and volunteering and any opportunity that I have to give back. And Gabe had reached out to me and asked me if I was interested in being a mentor. And I actually, I said yes, but mentorship is so important to me because I think in school, in a professional field, and even in life, I think a mentor is helpful. And I did say yes, and I went there and I chatted with him. So I'm going to ask Gabe how the mentorship program at QCC, and I'm actually going to, before he does that, have him talk a little bit about what QCC is, where it's located, and then I'll have him talk about the mentorship program.
Great. So Quinsigamond Community College is in Worcester, Massachusetts. It's the main community college for all of central Massachusetts. We have almost, I think, 10,000 plus students in credit and non-credit bearing classes, about 6,000 students in credit bearing classes. It's a great place to work. It's a great place to go to school. We have campuses all over central Massachusetts, including a campus in Southbridge, multiple campuses in Worcester, and then the main campus is on West Boylston Street, right in Worcester, Massachusetts. So the mentoring program is just a program we started last year. We match students from QCC up with mentors from all over central Massachusetts and specifically Worcester. So this is a chance for students to really build their network, to meet somebody from a different background of their own, and a chance for mentors and businesses and companies and individuals from all over the city to really learn about this community institution of Quinsigamond Community College because I believe it's the largest college in the city. We serve students from mainly Worcester Public Schools, so it's really a city community institution, and it's a great way for mentors to learn about QCC and the students that attend the college and really about the community that they live and work in.
Oh, that's wonderful. So I mentioned that I'm an alumni at QCC, and you talk about it being one of the biggest. And I remember years ago with QCC what it was then to what it was now, and I'm just so proud of the things that they have done. From Dr. Carberry to Dr. Luis Pedro, just some of the things that they've done to grow the school. So tell me what mentorship means to you and why you decided to, start or revive that program.
Sure. So I guess before I started at QCC, I worked in the Worcester Public Schools and I worked on a couple different programs. I was a grant writer and then I also ran a program called Worcester Hears, which helps students with building trauma sensitive schools and educational practices. And I was very disappointed. I liked the job, but a lot of the times students would go to college, they would succeed, pass all their classes, and really struggle with basic developmental classes with just the first year of college and drop out. And the numbers were pretty tough. And a lot of those students were going to QCC, but they were struggling in every college. So one of the grants I was working on full time ended, and this opportunity at QCC opened up where they wanted to start a mentoring program that included the community, and that would just really sparked my interest because I'd been on the K-12 side for so long, kindergarten through 12th grade. I was so excited to work in the college access point because I think college is very important for people in Worcester, and there's so many jobs available, but you need some type of training to get into it. So for me, a mentor is so important in college, especially for a student that doesn't have anyone in their family that has gone to college before them, because you can really struggle with some basic things that you don't know you need help with. So a lot of students don't know that they can talk to their professors if they have an issue with an assignment. A lot of students don't know that we have tutors, that we have counselors, that we have financial aid advisors, that we have academic advisors that really want to help the student, and that sometimes they just need someone to ask. So to me, a mentor, the most important thing is to be available and to have some guidance and advice and input that you can share with the student that can give them feedback that will help them succeed. I know I personally had a lot of mentors when I was a student at Clark University that I'm still in touch with today. The first professor I had, Sarah Michaels at Clark University, I email with her, I don't know, every 2 months. I just got an email from her the other day. She's met my family, and it's just, I wouldn't have been able to succeed at Clark without her, because my father never completed college. My mother did complete college in a master's program, but I was very stubborn and didn't want to ask for help from my parents at all. So having somebody to advise me, to help me look at different career paths, to help me look at academic programs I might succeed in. I completely changed my own major in college. I went in thinking I would be a physics major, and then saw calculus and didn't want to do that. So I switched over to communications right away with her guidance. So without mentors of my own, I never would have been able to succeed either way.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, you mentioned calculus. For those of you who listen to the podcast, know I'm not a fan of math. I have given a healthy respect. I do what I have to do to pass. But overall, I respect math. I just want it somewhere far, far away from me.
Yeah,
So
me too.
I think so. I mean, it's funny. You mentioned that, you were in the K through 12 spare, and then, you went over to the college here. So how was that to transition from K to 12 to college?
It's been a very interesting journey. In my graduate program, I did a lot of studying, and I worked for a institution that was researching K to 12 and then higher education partnerships in large cities throughout America. So that was something from 2013 that I've been very interested in. And I did a lot of the grants in the Worcester Public Schools focused on college access. So facilitating these partnerships. So I've always been interested in college access. I've worked on that throughout my career. I definitely was, it's been an interesting transition going from the K-12 to the higher education, just in terms of, what the work environment is like, working with students. And for us at QCC, it's different than what most listeners will think of as a college experience, right?
Hmm.
We have the average age in our mentoring program is 24 years old, which is obviously, 3 years older than a 4-year college traditional population looks like. So it's been interesting. It's been really great. It's been inspiring to meet so many students that are giving up a lot of time and energy and work to get their associate's degree at QCC. So it's been a great transition. Sometimes I do miss, I've worked with a lot of elementary schools in K to 12. So, this is always cute and inspiring and great to see the kindergarten and first grade
Yeah.
students. But overall, it's been a great transition and something that I've really valued, being able to kind of shift my career focus in that area.
Oh, that's wonderful. I mean, I personally believe that a mentor is a lifelong friend. I think when you start out, it's not a friendship relationship, it's a mentor. You guide, you direct them to, like you mentioned, resources, because QCC has a wealth of resources that the students are not aware that they have access to, the tutoring, the financial aid information and things like that. And, you had brought up a point that a lot of times when these kids go to college, they don't have basic life skills, and I've always wondered about that, because I think that they get out of high school, they don't know how to read a watch unless it's digital, which they just don't, like the hour and the minute and they just don't get. It's not something that's taught. They don't know how to balance a checkbook because you could just look at it online and things like that. So I feel like sometimes we get away from teaching basic skills. And you're right, when they go to college, like off a sudden, they're like thrust into this world and they're told you're an adult, and they have to navigate and then have to do their schoolwork and get all of this. So they do get overwhelmed. Then having that person to guide them and, lead them to the resources where some might not want to ask for help, I think, it's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I was one of those students that didn't want to ask for help myself, so I understand where they're coming from. I know that a lot of the mentors use the students as kind of guides for where their relationship is going to go. So some students enter the mentoring program, maybe they already have a full career or bachelor's or master's in one area, and they're shifting careers completely. So they want somebody very professionally focused to help them guide them into this new career. Then we have some students that just graduated from high school, have no idea what they want to do with their life, with their major. And that's tough at QCC because, students pay for each credit that they take, and you don't want to be wasting credits in a major that you're not going to complete because a lot of students want to finish up at QCC and then go into a 4-year college after that. So we hope the mentors can really help them just get a pathway to enter into that, educational field that will fit their needs. So I think that it's a great opportunity for students to just learn a little bit about themselves, to do some self-reflection. A lot of the time of the mentoring activities that we suggest cause students to really reflect on their own path, on their major, on their aspirations, on what type of career they're most interested in. And sometimes it's tough to take the time to do that when you are a full-time student, when you struggle to get to and from campus, when you have a full-time job with unreliable hours, which is what many students deal with. So for me, I think just even taking the time to have a conversation about yourself and learn about somebody else's journey can really be beneficial to students to make the right choice.
Okay, wonderful. I mean, again, I know you mentioned that, the average age for a QCC student is about 24.
Yeah.
And I mean, that is unique. I actually, when I went back to QCC, I was in my 30s.
Hmm.
So, it was very different from me. And I was married with kids. I was very involved in the community, involved in my church. I had a full-time job, and, here I was trying to go to school full time. So, I mean, the mentoring program wasn't there when I was there. But, I think, and I mean, I've always had a pretty good head on my shoulder, but I had to be very strategic in planning, my activities, my school and my classes and everything so that I'll succeed. Because if I didn't, I absolutely would have failed. And I know sometimes some people struggle with just that, just, okay, where do I go? It's overwhelming. And even though QCC offers, online classes, I think a lot of people don't realize like online to me is brutal.
Oh
Like
yeah,
it
definitely. It's
is
more work,
it
definitely.
is. They assume that, oh, I'm online, so no, it's not. It's a lot of work. It was easier to go to one class during the week and things like that. So I was able to navigate that. And I think that's why I was so excited to go back and give back because a lot of the adults that go back to school, they're trying to figure it out. And some of them have been going there for such a long time. I've heard, 10 years, just getting a credit here and a credit there. And just not quite knowing how to focus, where to say, okay, do I choose a major? Do I just get credit, or what do I do with these credit? And I think, that's what the mentoring does. It helps them to kind of streamline, to kind of hone in, to kind of decide on something. So, thank you for that. So you started the mentoring program last year. Where has it gone from? So tell me from the beginning to where it is now. What are some of the changes you're most proud of?
Sure. So we actually took a couple smaller mentoring programs that were already on campus and doing pretty well. A program called Brothers and Keepers, which was about, I believe, 6 years in, and a program called SHE, which stands for Support, Help, and Courage, which was focused on female students. Both of those programs were mentoring programs that matched students up with faculty and staff on campus. And between them, they had about 35 to 40 matches. So that's like 40 students that are being served by a little bit less than that faculty and staff. When I was brought in, they really wanted to expand those programs to bring in community members and to just become a little bit more cohesive in terms of it's not necessary in this day and age to have separate programs for men and women, for different academic majors. If mentoring is the goal, right, it's building a relationship, that a lot of those relationships can go across different career paths or majors or genders or age or ethnic backgrounds, anything. It doesn't really matter those differences as long as both people go in with an open mind. So once I came in, we kind of combined those two programs and added in this element of bringing in community members to be mentors because that was not an option previously. So in our first year, we had a lot of students sign up for the mentoring program. We had over 200 applicants. And in our second year, we have right now 135 matches, which means that 135 students are matched up with a mentor, almost all of those with a mentor that's only working with them. So that right there makes it one of the larger programs, definitely in the city, and just it's a pretty large for a college mentoring program to have that many students participating. And we have, I think, 90, almost 90 mentors from the community that have signed up. So many folks that were working in local businesses or nonprofits or, you know, other colleges or just folks that are retired even. A lot of them have come back to give back to the community. And I'd say that community aspect, bringing people in, having them learn about QCC has just been really, really rewarding to me because a lot of people thought we were crazy for doing this.
I'm sure.
And
I'm sure they did.
we learned from some other colleges that, have tried similar aspects. And they told me that it was a struggle sometimes to mesh this community college environment, which can be hectic and difficult to schedule. And it's not the same as a 4-year college that most of the folks in the mentoring program attended, to then bring in these outside people. But our President Pedraja, didn't view them as outsiders. He viewed them as future community partners. And it's really been successful. We have entered a program called Core Partners of QCC Mentoring, which means any business that sends 10 or more mentors becomes a core partner of the program. And that means that we send students out to their job site to do a tour of their company, and we do an info session with, mentors and other folks that work at their site. We will match up the mentors from that company with students directly in their career field, hoping to, make a pipeline for future employees. And so some of our core partners are AbbVie Biopharmaceutical, which is matched with all of our biology, biotech, chemistry students, and they've hired a couple of the mentees already right away within the first year. And we have Hanover Insurance that's coming on in the spring. We have the city of Worcester is actually one of our core partners, and we have firefighters, police officers, teachers, people in the public health department, people who work in city hall have all come in to be mentors, which is amazing in different areas. So just this idea of whole community coming together to support the community college is something that we've grown faster than I expected, and I've just been so proud of the way Worcester's kind of come forward to join this program.
Oh, that's awesome to where you started to where you are now. And you mentioned so many core partners. So, I mean, kudos to those companies that are stepping in. And for the other companies that are listening, please join up.
And I
So,
just want to say, not to interrupt, our newest core partner, UMass Memorial, was really great to bring in because we had a huge wait list last year, mainly healthcare focused students, because we were just looking at, trying to find doctors and nurses and practitioners of medicine to participate. And just the schedules did not work out. It's very difficult for folks in those fields to, come during business hours to volunteer. It's just
yeah.
not feasible. So we actually worked with UMass and developed this relationship, and now they have folks that started in those areas like as practitioners and are now higher up as leaders in the hospitals and administrators and in the business areas that have come in. We have, I think, like 14, 15 mentors from UMass, and they've been able to really give great guidance to students in the healthcare field, and we've really gotten rid of that wait list. So that's been a great core partner for us that we just brought in. That took a lot of planning. UMass is a huge organization,
Yeah.
and they were able to identify potential mentors. We ran training for their staff, and it's just been wonderful getting to know this. It's not. I don't even know if I'd call it a company just because of the size. It's really an institution in Worcester.
It's Massachusetts. It's
Yeah.
UMass. It's not even. It's all over. Everybody know about UMass,
Yeah.
no matter what part of the state or the country you're from. That's awesome, though.
Yeah, and we have folks very high up at UMass participating too, so it's been very exciting to bring
That's
them in.
outstanding. I mean, the QCC, and I'm not even going to talk about much today. The nursing program at QCC is one of the best.
Oh yeah.
It is outstanding. So if you're interested in a nursing program, check that out. It's one of the best. in the state. I mean, probably in the whole country. And that's just incredible at UMass. They're great partners.
Hmm.
I love UMass. Had both my kids at UMass hospitals. So, I mean, nothing bad to say about them, but that's really great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have so much wealth of information and so much. So, I just want to ask, so how does a student at QCC get into the mentoring, the mentee program if they want to be a mentee, they want to get a mentor?
So for students, we just have a very short online application that you can just go onto our website. It's just qcc.edu/mentoring. And a student just fills out the online application and then we'll call them, or they can come into our office and we'll do a quick interview with the student to make sure that we have all the information we need to successfully match them up. And then once they've gone through that interview, basically I'll match them with a mentor that is waiting for a student. So right now we have about 15 slots left, right? If it's a good match, I'll match them with a current mentor. And then if there isn't really a career match or what the student's looking for, I will go out into the community and try and find somebody in that specific area. So that's what it looks like on the student side. It's just an application and interview. Then for mentors, it's very similar. They just fill out a similar application, right? qcc.edu/mentoring. Then they'll come into QCC, they do a background check and another interview with me. And we have about a 2-hour training that we ask the mentors to go through in the first, semester that they're matched up with a student. So between those two entry points, it's not doesn't take long. The mentors and mentees meet once a month for an hour or less. We really want to respect everyone's time. Then we have additional events that you can kind of enhance the experience by doing. We have tours, we have workshops. We have a workshop today at noon actually that I'm headed over to. We do a workshop about once a month, a trip about once a month. We are going to try and do some pickup sports. We'll do some tours of different areas of QCC. So it's a really expansive program that can be helpful.
All right, wonderful. So I know how the students, the mentees get started, how the individual, how the companies, if you're a company listening to you, it's like,
Hmm.
I want us to get involved. How do they get involved?
So if anybody's interested in becoming a core partner, I would say you could just reach out to me at QCC. It's just G Santner at qcc.mass.edu, and maybe we'll be able to publish, the website um, wherever the podcast is being published. But you just reach out to me, and we have a conversation about the company's needs. We really do want people signing on as core partners to view this as a chance to find future employees as well. So we find areas within the company that you might have needs in terms of entry level jobs for students. And then also just look at what type of employees you have that would want to be mentors. And then from there, we will come to your company. We'll do info sessions for potential mentors. We'll do training on site for each company that signs up. And then we bring them in just the same individual process for each mentor. You do have to do an interview, you do have to do a background check at QCC. And that's the process. And then we do a nice announcement as well in the fall and spring kickoff for all of our core partners. So.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, it's pretty easy to me. I felt it was pretty easy, like the interview, I did interview with Gabe and, the background check and all that, because I mean, those are things that you do have to do. It's been very rewarding for me. I've had a few mentees, that I've developed relationships with, and I feel that I've been able to help them. And more than anything, just guide them to the different resources that are at QCC that a lot of them are not aware, that they have. So that is fantastic. So let me ask you another question. Did you model your program after any that you knew? I mean, I know you talked a little bit about it, but was there any specific model that you looked at, any other colleges or?
Yes. So there's two main places that we got our inspiration from. The first is I talked very extensively with STEM mentoring program, science, technology, engineering, and math at Mass Bay Community College. They already were running a similar program only for their STEM focused, students. But I took many aspects of that from them. So the core partner program they already had developed, and I just said, wow, that sounds like a great idea. So, we borrowed that. They gave us a lot of info about what type of workshops to run, how to do outreach to companies, how to do outreach to individual mentors. So we took a lot of that from them. And it's a great relationship. I've talked several times with the woman who runs the program over there. And then also for our training, for our program policies, how to make sure that the mentors and mentees are safe, how to make sure that you give them enough resources to actually have a successful relationship, you know, what type of questions to ask in the application, what type of questions to ask in the interview. We actually get all of that from a company, a nonprofit called Mass Mentoring Partnership, which is under an umbrella of mentor.org. They're really the leaders in developing research-based mentoring practices throughout America, and then also in mass mentoring for Massachusetts. So they actually came out to us. We got a grant to develop our training, develop our onboarding process for mentors, and they gave us some great insight into how to make sure we screen the mentors to make sure everybody's appropriate to work with students, how to make sure we're providing the students with enough information about a mentoring relationship to actually have, a successful opportunity. Because if a student doesn't know what they're getting into, you're kind of setting them up for failure by just saying, okay, go talk to this random stranger who's older than you, right? It doesn't work, yeah.
Not at all.
And a lot of the students will say, oh, I want a mentor, but they don't know what type of questions to ask, or they don't know why am I talking to this person, or they don't know. If they don't come with questions, it can be kind of an awkward meeting, right?
It is.
So we worked with those two organizations as models for us. Mass Bay really on how to do a college mentoring relationship, and then Mass Mentoring Partnership and how to just make sure what we were doing is based on research and based on best practices within mentoring, even though it is a college program, which is different than a lot of the mentor programs that people might think of, which is youth-based mentoring. So that's where we got our inspiration from, and I really value the relationship we have with both of those organizations.
Oh, that's awesome. So I know, you said that when you were starting out, I know a lot of people were saying, it's different. It's challenging. I mean, what isn't challenging, right? To do something like that at community college. And, you went ahead and did it anyway. So what advice would you give to a college that would per se thinking of starting their own mentoring program?
I think for us, having structure was very valuable in bringing on mentors and keeping relationships going. So we have a very by the book application process for mentors and for mentees. We have each month what we call an area of focus, which is just some conversation topics that you can use for your mentoring match each month. We have events that we send out multiple notifications for. We really encourage people to participate. So these are all ways that we can make sure that the person volunteering their time has the most impact. And also they feel like before they sign up, they have an idea of what they're getting into. A lot of the times people want to volunteer, they want to give back to their community, but we all have families, jobs, hobbies, anything that might get in the way of that volunteering time. So if you dedicate time to volunteer, you want to make sure you're actually going to have an impact. You want to make sure that it's rewarding for yourself, that you can learn something from it. So by putting into place very almost rigid structures like that, we make sure that mentors and mentees have a better understanding of what they're getting into. It's not kind of just like, okay, meet this random person and hope it goes well.
Okay.
And some mentoring programs are like that. And for
Yes.
youth-based mentoring, maybe that's more appropriate, right? Because it's
Okay.
more about just get a good relationship rather
hmm
than, have some serious outcomes in terms of academic success, career success, college success. But for a college mentoring program where students are so busy, you don't have them kind of capture like a youth-based mentoring program that takes place. It's called site-based, right? At school, students have to show up, right? They go to school. It's
Yeah.
not like that at a college environment, especially a community college environment where students don't live on campus.
hmm
Like if a student forgets that they have a mentoring session and then they realize 15 minutes ahead of time and they're not on campus, they're not going to make it. Whereas when I was in college, all the time I would totally forget that I had an appointment with my advisor. And then I would just, leave my dorm room and I'm there. Whereas it's not like that for community college students who commute to campus. So
They do.
it takes more planning, it takes more logistics, it can be difficult, but we've had a pretty good success so far. And we added in more structure in our second year for this very reason, to make sure that students know exactly what they're getting into. They're not going to feel suddenly like they don't know why they signed up or what they're going to get out of it. They know exactly what they're going to get out of it because we interview every single student.
Okay, wonderful. So, I mean, it sounds like you have a staff of about 100, right?
It's just, we work with a lot of people within the college who give us support, who help us with
Good.
workshops, but right now it's me as full-time working on the program, and then we have a part-time student outreach specialist who really interviews all the students, reaches out if a student might need to be pushed to, talk to their mentor. They can help us in that initial student contact. And then we have a little bit of administrative support part-time as well, but it's really right now a small staff and a large program, so something that we hope to keep expanding as well.
Expand.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you can do all that with with the staff that you have, I can't imagine what you're gonna do when you have a staff of that 100. All right. Okay. All right. So we've talked a lot about mentoring and things like that, and I wanted to talk about one of the activities that we did the other day because, like I mentioned, I'm a mentor, and we did recess. So that was fun and that was
Yeah.
unusual. So it's like adult size games.
I've really struggled to describe this place that we went.
Oh my goodness! It no, you go ahead because
All right.
okay, you tell them what is it?
So Recess is a place that was suggested by a member of our staff at QCC who's on our mentoring team, and it's a new place where adults and really kids too can go and do indoor large games. So they have a kickball arena, they have a human foosball, they have bowling, all types of activities basically. And we used it as a team building event. So we had and a social event. So we had students and mentors come. They led us through a couple of games. We just had pizza, and then it was just a chance to really socialize between the students and between the mentors. So this year, our kind of slogan for the mentoring program is making connections, building community. And some of the feedback we got in our first year is that the mentoring program was helpful, but very focused on professional connections and academic success. And sometimes with every event we had was focused on those two areas, which we did purposefully. It's hard to build a natural relationship with somebody if there's no socializing, if there's no fun, if there's no casual
Mm-hmm.
time to just sit down and enjoy, something fun or silly or pizza or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So this year we're including that recess trip. We're trying to add in these social events that to me as somebody that could be a little bit introverted, I don't always enjoy, but once you kind of let your guard down, it is really fun. And we're going to add in some pickup sports as well for students and mentors to do together. We'll try and do more focus on the gym and having mentors go and use the gym with their students. We'll do some work in our fabrication lab, which is like an open source 3D printing lab at QCC that's open to anyone, mentors or mentees. So just ways to have these relationships include some social fun elements rather than only be focused on professional and academic, activities. So for me, that was feedback we got from students,
Mm.
um, and it was really great feedback from them. So
That's
I'm
good.
happy to add that in this year.
That's good. I mean, you can only grow, right? I think last year, you were just starting out and things like that. And I mean, you're thinking mentor, mentee, professional. And I think that was very beneficial for them to get that exposure to the professional field.
Hmm.
But you're right, adding that social element does impact the student because they get to see their mentors in a different capacity. And, I mean, a lot of socializing happen at work. So when you're in the professional field, you have to be able to socialize.
It's a really good point. Yeah, and another thing I loved about that event is that we invited mentors and mentees to bring their families with them. So we had one mentor and one mentee that both have two kids, and they all brought their kids, and the kids played together, and the mentor and mentee were able to meet. So I think it's just a way to show mentors and mentees that it's okay that people are non-traditional college students with
Hmm.
kids or with jobs or with families, and the mentors can see that too. So I think that's just a better way to get to know somebody, right?
Yeah.
And especially, like you said, the professional world, you do have to socialize. You do have to go to networking events or mixers or stuff like that. So it's helpful to learn how to conduct yourself professionally, but also socially. That's a skill that you have to build. So
No,
yeah, it's helpful.
absolutely. And you mentioned that you're an introvert. I mean, I'm an extrovert. I think everybody knows that. And I think some people, when they're an introvert, they do want to shield away from the social sphere. They don't want to go out there. But You have to.
Oh
You
yeah.
absolutely have to. So stepping outside that box and
Yeah, I mean, I had a couple students that I was a mentor for last year, and one of them, and I really do try and focus on my mentoring to be, I was, professional, giving them advice on academics, on how to, you know, connect to the right resources at QCC, and finally the student, after telling me how he'd been struggling, and I was really going through the different resources we had. So let's say he was saying he was struggling on time management and feeling motivated because he was so tired from work and school at the same time. And I was trying to go through and give him solutions, right? So could you change your hours? Could you take less classes? Because he was taking like 5 classes at a time. And finally, he just sighed and was like, "Did you ever struggle with this? Were you ever feeling like not motivated in college or depressed in college?" And I was like, "Yeah, you know what? I did. I took worked
mm,
many, many jobs at Clark, much more than my friends. I really pushed myself academically and at times felt, isolated like he did. And I had to really, he pushed me to open up myself, which
mm,
I was not doing beforehand. And it helped me learn to be a better mentor and to share a little bit about my own path. That I wasn't doing before because, I could be introverted. I could try and focus on those professional academic areas. So I was really thankful that he asked me that question and that it kind of just showed me that we built a better connection because of that. It helped him, I think, see that somebody that, he might view as, a professional or had success also struggled with those exact same issues. And I think almost anybody that goes through college will struggle with that lack of motivation, right?
mm.
Feeling like you're overwhelmed with work. So it's good to just be open about it with the students.
The students become the master. All right. So again, for those of you who know me, know that I like movie references. So that was from the Karate Kid,
Oh yeah, I
right?
know that. Yeah,
So you do learn from the mentees, and that's really great. That he felt comfortable asking you that because sometimes you're right. They look at you and you're so put together, and whether you're faking it till you make it, but because I mean, we do that sometimes, right? But that he felt comfortable enough to ask you that, and that, you were able to share. I think that's what's so great about a mentor and a mentee, that relationship of trust,
yeah,
that sharing, that learning, that guiding. And sometimes the guidance comes from the mentee because they could say to you, I'm expecting this and I'm not getting this, and you realize that I am holding back, and you sharing that with them was able to help him more than how maybe something else wasn't. Just like, oh, look at him now, but he struggled just like me. Because I think a lot of times when you're struggling with something, you feel isolated, right?
definitely.
You feel like I'm the only one who's ever gone through this. I'm the only one who's ever struggled in college and things like that. And having somebody share that with them must have been very beneficial.
Yeah, and I think also just so many mentors enter this, including myself, right? Thinking you're going to be the solution to all these students' problems,
Yeah.
and that's not what we're doing, right? We're there for the students to talk to bounce ideas off of, to feel heard, because a lot of times that's all it takes. It's just giving them a chance to talk about their issues. And I've had so many mentors come to me and just say, I just don't think I'm having an impact, or like, I don't think I'm doing enough. And I say, well, your job isn't to solve every single one of their problems. It's to meet with them once a month and make them feel like they have somebody that has their back. And that's hard for some mentors to come to terms with because you do get invested in someone. You want them to succeed. You want them to feel happy. Um, but sometimes it's just life can be hard, and
Yeah.
it's good to struggle through things and come through on top. So I think that was something that I learned the more mentoring that I did. That it's okay for the students to struggle. It's
Hmm.
you can't go and solve every single problem down the line for them,
Yeah.
and that's the learning process that definitely the students will help you with.
Wonderful. Well, so I've been a mentor. I've been a mentor for a long time for a lot of folks. I'm not at the college level till I started with you. And I read that booklet, and I will say that it was very helpful to read because it gave a couple of pointers of what a mentor wasn't. They weren't there to help the kids financially, the students financially, because that will open up a whole can of worms
Yeah,
and different relationship. And you're not there to be, their psychiatrist and things like that. And I think those pointers were very helpful because you're right, we're empathetic, right? Hopefully, and we want to solve
Oh yeah.
problem. I'm a mother, I'm a minister, so I mean, give me a problem, I will attack it, I will fix it. But going in and then seeing that's not what you're there for. You're a guide, you're a resource, and if you can help, certainly help and lead them and other. But I not gonna go in there and take this kid and fix their marital problem, their their relationship with their kids, their pastor, their deacon, their boss, and and everything, and then have this whole person come out. So I think that's important to know.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main things that people get out of the training that we offer is exactly what is your role. So we talk about what mentors have you had in your own life, and then what we expect from mentors for us. And I think the distinction between a college-based mentoring program and a youth-based mentoring program is difficult for some folks as well. Um, I know that there's another mentoring program that we work with that the mentors and mentees meet once a week, right? With a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, whatever. You can really solve a lot of issues, help them with their homework, right? The students that I mentored, I could not help them with their homework at all, right? They were all doing deep science classes, calculus classes, whatever. I was just like, I'm sorry that you're struggling with that. Here's places you could go, but I could maybe look at a paper, but that's about it.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I think that's helpful for people entering a college mentoring program to learn that these are adults. Everybody's over 18. Um, they're here to build skills
Mhm.
and not to have all their problems solved. We're not social workers. We're not psychiatrists. We're not psychologists. We're not tutors. We're not career advisors. We aren't, and we have all those.
Yeah.
And a lot of students don't know to go to them for help. So that's really, we say, I think in the book, a term, guide on the side,
Oh,
right?
okay.
And that's really what we think. It's on the side. You're not their main
No.
person to go to. You're somebody that they can just go for a quick piece of advice.
You can be, because then, if you become, then they could develop this codependent relationship. And, if for any reason that the relationship is severed, meaning, you move away, they move on, then they just could spiral. So
Yeah.
you have to be very mindful of that. And yeah, I mean, I'm not a tutor, believe me. Math, I've talked about math a lot, and I really do love math. When I was going to QCC, I struggled with math, and Professor Shiba Masood, I don't know if he's still there. He ran a math boot camp.
Oh yeah, that yep.
Yes, and I remember him saying, "You have to love math. You have to say you love math." I mean, it worked. I said it until I passed the class, and then, but it was just like, so no, I do not want to be a math tutor.
But that's something that I've been able to share a little bit with my mentees because, I think so many students come to QCC and they're terrified of math.
Yeah,
And the fact is, you need math for a lot of areas. So
everything.
I was able to go through most of my undergrad career avoiding math completely. I took some economics classes that, was helpful and I enjoyed them a lot,
Yeah.
but it wasn't the same type of math that students are doing. And then in my graduate program, which was an education policy, there was so much math in terms of analyzing statistics,
Hmm.
so like quantitative research, and they forced you to learn it. And
Yeah.
I share with my students, the students I mentor, I'm like, you know what? Because it was so focused in the field that I was interested in the statistics, I was really able to get into it and learn it a lot better than I ever did in high school
Yeah.
as a 22-year-old, right? So it's like, I think that just some experiences like that, if you're able to contextualize the learning, which you can do in college, it
Hmm.
really makes it a lot easier. And that can also help students a little bit understand that it's not like high school math anymore. It's
No.
different. It might be harder, but it's going to be more interesting as well. And there's no
Sure.
standardized tests at the end that you have to blast through. Yeah.
No, okay, so I like math, sure. But no, it's funny. Same thing. I mean, I didn't do a lot in my undergrad, but I'm getting my master's now, and I just did managerial finance,
Oh
and
yeah.
it was intense. I mean, I got an A for the class, but I worked harder than I've ever worked just to get that grade. So I'm glad that, there's tutors and stuff that, can help on them that. I could personally have this, keep going with this conversation. So I know that you have another event today, but I really want to thank you and I appreciate you coming here and talking to us at the Sit Down with Suzanne show about mentorship. It's something that's very important to me. And, my brand, which is Positively Suzanne, as I grow and expand, that is something that I'm looking to get into. I do life coaching, but just mentorship. And, I'm honestly going to be focused more on teen girls.
Hmm.
As a mother for teen girl, I see some of the things they go through with bullying and things like that.
Yeah.
So I'll absolutely tap into you for some
Please,
resources
yeah.
when I decide to go there and just how to get it started and more structured and more formal and things like that. But I think you're right. What you said, you have to have a game plan in mind. You have to have resources. You have to have partners that has done it, and can give you great tips and pointers. And I don't want to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, I
Um,
never do. Because in my old job, I also was starting a program from the ground up, and
yeah,
the only advice I have, because this is the second program that we really started from very little and gotten
yeah.
to be pretty large, is just do what has worked in the past. It just is not necessary to do some brand new thing. People have very, very innovative, interesting models in almost any area in education or
Mhm.
mentoring or any social area. And the
Yeah.
great thing about the nonprofit world, the social justice world, or whatever, is people are doing it because they want to help others. So
Mhm.
I called so many college mentoring programs,
Yeah.
and just nobody was competitive, nobody was hiding their secrets. People were so excited, shared where they struggled,
Yeah.
shared what worked. And I think that in a city like Worcester, especially, so many people are open to do that. I've met with mentoring programs throughout the city. I have
Wonderful.
friends who work in them. So it's just something that the only advice I'd give somebody starting a program like that is just ask others for help. Don't be afraid to take the time to get it right in the beginning, to plan to do it right. Because if you start something in a disorganized way, it's very hard to come back from that. But it's
Absolutely.
easier to go start hyper organized and then make exceptions if you need to make exceptions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, that's wonderful. So 3 points I'm trying to get to. So not only do you run the program, you have personal mentees.
Oh yeah.
Holy
Hmm.
cow. Okay. All right.
But
So
again, it's not that much of a time commitment. Once a month.
okay.
Yeah,
All
once a
right.
month.
Okay. Okay. So great. So that's telling us we can do it no matter what's on our plate, right?
Yes.
The second thing you said that, there was no competition, there was just resources,
Never.
utilize everyone as a resource. Like wonderful. So, and then what is your future goal? Like, where do you see the program going from here? Let's wrap that up with this.
So President Pedraja, his goal is to have every student at QCC have a mentor, which is 6,000 credit-bearing students.
Oh, wow.
So that's our dream goal. My goal for next year is to have 200 matches.
Oh,
So
wow.
that would be about adding 50 mentors because we do have a surplus of mentors, and then I want to find a way for myself to show students that this is something that is not much of a time commitment and that's a huge benefit because most students who turn it down say that they just don't have time for it. And as busy as anyone is, once a month for 1 hour, you have time for it.
It's doable.
So, and especially because the mentors are so open to working with the student's schedule. So, that's my personal goal is to find a way to pitch this program to students that doesn't make it seem like a burden. Doesn't
Mm-hmm.
it? I want it to feel like a responsibility, but something that will help them and will benefit them and was worth, the small amount of time that it goes into. And I'm not sure that we found the perfect pitch in that way. We've gotten really good at pitching the program to mentors. We've gotten really good at pitching it to a smaller section of students. I want it
Mm-hmm.
to be that we have hundreds of students applying every single year.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, as a mentor, I will tell you that I value the program. I think it's very needed. I think it's very useful. And I think, you're right. You've just got to figure out how to get it to the masses. And, when they realize, it's once a month, the mentors and mentees can be very flexible within their own schedule. And, you can make it work.
Oh
And
yeah.
you can make it work. It's
And
as
we've
simple as
we've
that.
gotten more flexible. Last year we said you had to meet at QCC,
Mm-hmm.
um, one of our campuses, and it wasn't working for some mentors. It wasn't working for some mentees. And so this year we were allowing mentors to invite the students to meet at their work site, which lets the mentors be more flexible with what time they meet.
Mm-hmm.
And we just say if the student has transportation, you can invite them and just meet in a public spot in your site. And we've been able to have so many more successful matches already, and it's great for the students to go see somewhere. So that was kind of us rolling back our very strict guidelines because it was an actual need of the students and the mentors. So
Wonderful.
those are the type of things that I think we could keep doing in the future.
That's wonderful. I mean, honestly, I'm very impressed with the program. I was impressed when you invited me there and just the growth over the years, different things that you're learning, the things that you've mentioned on this podcast that you know you're doing, that you seek to do. And I think it will absolutely be successful. I think President Pedraja's goal or vision or mission or,
Yeah, so any mentors, any potential mentors, sign up because we need 6,000 more. So
Yeah, good luck with that. I am personally going to reach out to my company and find out. I won't mention them by name just in case, because I do have a few people listening, so I do want to speak to them personally to see if that's something that they could do that could sign up. And I will continue to touch base with my fans. I'll touch base with the people that I know in my professional life and my social life
wonderful.
to see if it's something that they would like to do
Great.
because I think it's rewarding. I
Thank
think
you
it's an
so much.
outstanding. Absolutely. Well, thank you for coming on. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. I love QCC. President Prasharha, I do have an interview with him that I'm hoping to air soon. It will be on my YouTube channel. I got the opportunity to sit down and chat with him once. Just an incredible human being. Just his vision, his empathy, how he cares for people. And I think it's reflected just in the people like in you, the people that I've met at QCC have just been so open in their desire to help others succeed.
Yeah.
And I think that's worthwhile.
I'll say first of all, thank you for being a mentor and inviting me on the podcast. I just want to echo what you said, Suzanne, about President Pedraja. I've worked at a couple different places. I've had very competent, bosses and all of them, but he really goes beyond in terms of expecting a lot of his staff members and people who work at QCC, but balancing that with, like you said, amazing empathy for the students, amazing empathy for the staff, and just allowing people to take risks and to be innovative and to work together in ways that not a lot of colleges and he oversees over 1,000 staff, and I've seen so much inspiration from people that have been at QCC for a long time that really are now taking risks and working together in ways that they haven't before. So if you're on the fence about working at QCC or attending QCC, know that it's led by a wonderful, wonderful leader in the school. So.
Okay, now I was trying to end the podcast, and now you had to go do that. But it really is wonderful, and my interview with him was just incredible. I loved it, and I can't wait to show it because he talks a lot about his upbringing and just some of the things that he do. But one of the most amazing things though is like whenever I go to an event and I see him, like he's Dr. Pajar, he's the president of QCC, but you don't see that when he's there. He's a very intelligent man, but he's just there with the students, with everybody. He's eating chips and just talking and just listen. He's just like one of the regular guys until somebody's like, oh, that's the president. I mean, I knew him, but then when you say it, it's like, oh, okay. Like he's normal. And I'm thinking, yes, he's normal.
Yeah.
He's just no airs about him. He's with you. And
I went to a summer bridge program, and we were expecting to have a bunch of students come, and it ended up, I think, being 4 students on the day that he came. And he was scheduled to come and, welcome them to the college. And there's 4 students, not that many compared to how his, level of stature within the college. And he sat down for like an hour and a half, talked with the students. We had lunch, learned about each of them individually. They were shocked that he was the president. They said, whoa, you're the president of the college? And he said, yep. He talked with them in Spanish or English, whatever.
Yeah.
And I still see all 4 of those students are on campus every day, a year later. So it's like, he really will take the time. I went to a soccer game with my wife at QCC the other day. It was a little bit drizzly. There was not that many fans out. And he just walks up, hangs out of the game for a little bit. There's no one there to see if it's not like he's making an appearance. He just is interested. He cares about the students. He cares about the college. So, and I think that is shown top down from the people that work there as well.
No, it does. Well, it's funny because when I had emailed him, the secretary, or somebody to invite him on the show, I of course pretended to this big speech, and why and why and why, and I mean he was just like okay, and he had responded back to me, and then I was like, I for some reason went into my spam, and it was like a couple of months, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? And then finally his secretary emailed me and says, when is the date? What's going on? And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And I saw that he had responded the same day I reached out to him and just say, yes, And here I was ready to, hire a lawyer to convince him. Not really, but I was ready to
Yeah.
sell myself to him, like why you should be on the show. And he was just like, yes. So that was great. But again, thank you so much. I really
Thank
truly
you.
appreciate it. I can't wait to air this episode. I think it's going to be beneficial for everyone who is a mentee looking for a mentor, who's a mentor looking to find a way to give back, for companies who want to give back. I think it's great. It's beneficial. I've been touched by it, and I know that you will be too. So thank you, Gabe.
Thank you
I
very
really
much.
appreciate it.
Have a great
All
day.
right. So until next time, this is Suzanne and
Gabe Santner.
signing off. Thank you.